Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us for today's Total Attorneys Power Chat. This is Chelsea Lambert, and we have Stuart Price, our host for today, speaking on revolutionizing your law practice using technology. And Stuart, before earning his JD from UCLA in 1990, received a BA in computer sciences from Brandeis University, and he started putting that undergraduate degree to work from the moment that he entered the practice of law. When his ideas for improving efficiency and client service through technology weren't well received by the managing partner of the first law firm that he worked for, Price ventured out on his own, forming Price Law Group in 1991. Today, his technology-based law firm operates over a dozen law offices in 4 states. Stuart, you're the CEO and president of Price Law Group, and thank you so much for joining us for today's session. We're very, very excited about this topic, and there's been so much buzz about all the cutting-edge technology that's becoming available to lawyers. We're really excited to hear how you've used it to grow your practice to this scale.
Chelsea, thank you so much for having me. Hello, everybody. And I'm excited to talk about technology because I'm a secret undercover techie, and I get to use that in my practice. Just a little bit of background about me. I am mostly a bankruptcy law firm. I've been doing this for 20 years. We have 18 offices. We're mostly in California, and we are in a few other states. And when you operate an office that has multiple offices, technology becomes incredibly important. I think technology is incredibly important no matter what, but with multiple offices, it certainly is important. And what I'm going to do today is just talk about a few of the things that we do that work for us and that I think is important for you to do or to be sensitive about. And so I've got half a dozen items to talk about that may help you as well. By the way, we also do a few other ancillary services that you may or may not do because they sometimes go hand in hand with a bankruptcy practice. We do creditor harassment issues, so we sue creditors for FDCPA or FCRA violations. We are now going to be getting into suing lenders for wrongful acts and foreclosure defense. And we do a little bit of debt settlement. And one big practice area I have right now is we do short sale negotiations. We do loan modification work, but we rarely take on clients because it's a horribly unprofitable venture. In California, we're not allowed to collect fees until the deal's done, but so many deals don't get done or they take too many hours to get done that it doesn't make a lot of sense. So that department has converted into a short sale negotiation department where realtors refer business to us to negotiate out, and that is a lot of fun.
I can imagine, and it sounds like, with every new addition and area of your practice, plan for or just the ability to jump on an opportunity when it comes to you, it is another great benefit of being agile and having technology that can grow with you. And we're really excited to hear about all of those initiatives and ways that you've used technology to make all of those things happen. Just a quick couple housekeeping notes before we get started. If you have questions for the host, you can use the chat box in the GoToWebinar tool that should appear in the right-hand side of your screen. You can also Twitter your questions to @TotalAttorneys or #PowerChat. And if you have technical issues during the session, you can email powerchathelp@totalattorneys.com. And Stuart, I'm going to hand it off to you. Luckily, some of us do have a crystal ball, and it seems like you've got a few things that you can see coming up in the future. And I'll hand it over to you, lead or follow.
Thank you. Can we go to the main slide? It's called Putting It into Practice, Chelsea?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Go ahead.
This is the heart of the few items that I'd like to talk about today. And I think it would be very productive if there are a lot of questions that come out. So as you have questions, please type away. I do well with Q&A. The first thing on the list is DocuSign. DocuSign is a tool that is used to create an electronic signature. I learned about DocuSign in my real estate practice because it used to be the case that, I'm also a real estate broker, that if you have a deal going and you want to send someone a listing agreement or purchase agreement or something, you'd fax it to them, they'd sign it, they'd fax it back. They have to initial it 29 different places. Invariably, they'd miss one because it was hidden. You'd have to do it again and again and again. DocuSign is a program that sends the document to the recipient who's supposed to sign it. It creates an electronic signature that is recognized, at least in the state of California, recognized as a legal signature. It brings you to every single place in the document that must be signed or initialed, creates an electronic signature, then sends a copy of that to me and a copy of that to the person who prepared the signature. Now this, how do I import this into my bankruptcy practice? I can't have clients sign normal things that I file with the bankruptcy court because the bankruptcy court has not recognized this as a good signature, but I can use it for anything else. Once in a while, I'll have a scenario where I want to send a retainer agreement to a client, not in the office, but I want to send it to them later. Perhaps they were in a city that's not near an office, and they got referred to me, and I do a telephonic consultation. And we find ourselves doing plenty of those. Now, with the advent of DocuSign, I can send them a retainer agreement, and they can sign it through DocuSign, and I have, in California, a valid signature. Prior to that, what we would do is we would send out a retainer agreement via email, and the retainer agreement would be acknowledged by them, and they would email back something like, I agree with the retainer agreement. That's not, that's questionable as to how binding that is. It was never a problem for us because if anyone ever wants to quit, we always let them quit. If they want to cancel, no problem. But at least they felt somewhat committed. Here, I now have a valid or fully executed contract, and it's great. Now, in all of your practices, there are probably a variety of things that need to be signed, and an electronic signature makes sense in your practice. This is an outstanding way to do it. If I sound a little excited, it's because I am. It's really revolutionized the things that I can do in terms of getting things signed. Anything that you might think of. If I need to prepare a declaration for a client regarding that I don't have possession of property in a reaffirmation scenario, we call it a declaration of non-possession, and then it doesn't get filed with the court, it just gets sent to the creditor. That electronic signature is a signature as far as I'm concerned, and it resolves everything. Then I don't have to reaffirm with that creditor if they don't have that secured property.
And you can use DocuSign, and you can also use some virtual law office technology applications that have signature or click wrap retainer agreements as a solution as well. And it's absolutely justified that you're excited because the amount of time that these solutions save, just in the sheer time that you think about setting an appointment or agreeing on a time for a client to come into the office to do signatures can take up a half hour or an hour of administrative time, whether it's exchanging emails or chasing each other down on the phone to get a time scheduled for them to come in. This is a huge, huge gain in efficiency.
Agreed, it's a huge gain in efficiency, and yes, there are other providers besides DocuSign who do the exact same thing. We just happen to use DocuSign.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the other thing is some of the third-party vendors who do this, like DocuSign, they maintain the quote-unquote original document in their repository, so they have it as well. So if everyone loses it, we can go to DocuSign and get it back.
Which is a nice backup to have.
Yes. So I don't want to send a retainer agreement out in the mail like I did in the olden days and wait for it to come back. I want to do it right now. I want to send out the retainer agreement, have them click, 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 click. Yes, they've retained me. Then I say, may I have your debit card information so I get paid right now. I don't want to wait. I want to move on my file right now. Okay. Next, phone systems. Right now, as you probably all know, having a good phone system is invaluable, and now everyone has, or most of us have, IP phone systems. IP, Internet Protocol, phone systems allow the phones to be plugged directly into the Internet. Up until very recently, there were huge quality issues with IP phone systems. But the technology has developed considerably just over the last 3 or 4 years, and now things are wonderful if you have the right phone system. At your main office, at my main office in Encino, we have slightly over 100 employees, and every phone system is plugged into the Internet, not directly into the phone system. However, when it is your primary office and your phone system is located in the office, your signal does not go out into the world and then back into your building into the phone system. It knows the address of your phone system and goes right to your phone system, so it's identical to a landline. So even though I'm plugged into the Internet, it's like I'm on a landline. When I am at a satellite office of one of mine and I plug a phone into the Internet, then I'm not on a landline, but that phone is connected to Encino. So I have an office in Las Vegas, Nevada, and there are 5 phones plugged in there into the Internet. And if you pick up the phone and you make an outbound call, it's generated from Encino, California. It makes the initial connection to Encino. When I want to call, let's say, Angela in Las Vegas, I can dial her 4-digit extension, and she picks up and has all of the information on her phone or on her computer. We have a phone system called ShoreTel. We have the latest and greatest. It's moderately priced. ShoreTel has a thing called a communicator that you put on your computer. I was very hesitant when I first saw it because the salespeople told me that when we start using this, we'll start to prefer to type our phone numbers on the computer, which is connected to the phone, and not on the phone set itself. I thought that was ridiculous, but now I never touch my phone, or almost never touch my phone, because it's easier to type in a number, because if it knows the number or recognizes it, it'll finish the number for you. If your phone number is listed in Outlook or some other attached program, I can just type in Chelsea, and it'll just pull it up and call it. It's got all the right buttons to do all the neat things that you want to do with a phone system. It has coaching tools, which will allow me to listen to my intake department and talk to the person on my end. Say, hey, don't forget to ask about such and such. It's called Whisper In, and a variety of features like that. But by having an IP, a quality IP phone system, all of your offices become connected, at least telephonically, and life is wonderful. There's nothing better than to be able to transfer calls around from office to office. For example, we do all of our reaffirmation processing in Palmdale, California, where there are 3 people there doing that. And to be able to just transfer back and forth by using their 4-digit extension is terrific, and it's not expensive.
Absolutely. And phone systems like ShoreTel offer a laundry list of other features, like being able to roll calls from one office to the other if all of the lines in one office are busy, or have certain phone lines directed to certain offices during after-hours periods, or if one office is shut down for business reasons or vacation time or a holiday. It makes it very, very flexible and easy to make sure that all of your calls are being answered by the people who you want to be taking them at the press of a button.
That's right. There's a huge list of things that the phone systems now allow us to do, which are great. I just want to tell you about one of my favorites. It's pretty neat. I have a BlackBerry, and I can turn my BlackBerry, well, 2 things. Number 1, my phone system has a Find Me feature, and you can program it any way you want, as complicated as you want. So if I'm not at my desk it can look for me wherever or go to my assistant, and after X rings, it can find me on my cell phone, for example. But there's another feature where I can turn my cell phone into an extension or a ShoreTel phone. That means if a phone call comes in and it finds me on my cell because I'm walking around the office, and I need to transfer it to my assistant, I hit transfer 1256. And it goes right to my assistant. It becomes a ShoreTel unit. And you can make a normal landline a ShoreTel unit as well. So we have one office where they have, we just can't get a good internet presence there. And therefore plugging in everything into the internet is challenging. But there is a landline, but that landline has now become a ShoreTel phone. It creates a bridge to that landline and keeps it on and permanent, even if the phone is hung up. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot of really fun things that we can do with the system. Next, video conferencing. My office employs video conferencing in every single office. If I have a referral who wants to come meet me in Fresno or in Las Vegas or in San Leandro or wherever, they can do so, and I can sit in my office. We've been using Polycom equipment. Now we're switching over to life-size equipment. It's better. And we have mounted flat-screen TVs in all of our offices and in all attorney offices where attorneys might do consultations. So if someone comes in, they'll come in, they'll meet a paralegal who will be nice and friendly, and then they'll turn on the television, and in a big screen behind the paralegal, they will meet their lawyer, and the lawyer will do the consultation. The lawyer will ask the questions. The lawyer will prepare paperwork as necessary. And when it's ready, the paralegal can print out the paperwork because we're all connected. We love video conferencing. Now,
do you find that with video conferencing that you're able to see more clients or get more done in a day because you don't have that transit time impact between offices or court appearances? Do you find that you gain any time back or that you're able to see more clients or get more done throughout the day because you use this tool?
We see a lot more clients because we use this tool. It's significantly more efficient. I used to have a lot of lawyers based in the Los Angeles area, but we would have an office, say, in Bakersfield, which is 99 miles away, an office in Ontario, which is 52 miles away, an office in Palm Desert, which is much further away. And we all had to drive to those offices on the days that those were open, and it created an enormous amount of wear and tear on the lives of the attorneys. Now, there'll be a resident paralegal in that office, and then the attorney can meet them from Encino or wherever that attorney might be. Not all attorneys are Encino. The other really nice thing for the attorney is if I'm doing a video consultation, normally in my office, I know different people do it differently. In my office, it's the attorney and the attorney only who does the consult, and the attorney only who prepares the schedules and the petition and the various other documents. They don't meet with a paralegal. But if I had a one-on-one in person, I'm doing it all. But if I'm working also with a paralegal in the office, while I'm asking appropriate questions, the paralegals typing Schedule F. The paralegals making copies of the tax return and the wage statements and things like that. So it's very efficient. A lot more is getting done in that same hour because there's two people working on it. And the paralegals doing appropriate work. And yes, that's incredibly efficient. Now I'm going to tell you one thing, one little secret that makes me love video conferencing, and that has to do with email. I'm almost always on my email. No matter what I'm doing, I'm still answering my email. But if I'm doing a consultation one-on-one with a client and the client is right in front of me, it's hard or sometimes rude to do your email while they're looking at you. But if they're on TV and you're asking them a bunch of questions and you're still answering your other email, if you're good at this sort of multitasking, you can get your email done too, and they don't know because they can't see your computer. When they're in my office, they can see my computer. When they're on TV, they can't see my computer. So I get to cheat a little and still be on top of my email.
Getting more than 2 things done at once.
Well, yeah, I'm the kind of guy who's trying to get 5 things done at the exact same time, and the perception is that everything's getting 100% of my time.
That's right.
The other thing with video conferencing is some of our clients like to have a Skype or something like that relationship with me. So I may have had a client that I met wherever, maybe on the phone or in an office or in person, but they need a lot of attention and they have Skype. Well, so do I. When you have a phone call with somebody, there's a certain amount of, good interaction that happens. But when they see you and you see them, it's better and more solid. Even if it's a quick little question, hey, what am I supposed to do with this? So when possible, I recommend that you use Skype or whatever technology you have for webcam sessions.
I do hear that from our virtual law office technology clients who in many cases don't even reside in the states where they practice. They may reside halfway across the country and they're practicing in the state that they're licensed. And to give you an example, living in North Carolina, practicing in Texas, and they all have very strong relationships with their virtual law office clients. They've never met them in person. Some have never spoken over the phone, but they do video chat, and it's replaced phone consultations, and it's also helped establish the same type of connection and relationship that you would get from an in-person meeting or from a lengthy phone conversation. And it's instant. It's that instant gratification of, I need help with a legal problem and my attorney is right here in front of me, even though they may be sitting halfway across the country.
Yes. The impact of an in-person meeting or a visual meeting is powerful, and it allows you to have that connection, and we love it. By the way, with this sort of technology, not everyone loves it or gets it. Some clients don't have webcams, or they have them and do not want to use them. They're uncomfortable. They may not want to let you see them. Maybe they got up on the wrong side of bed and they look a little disheveled. They don't want you to see them. But those clients who do embrace it love it. Those clients who don't know whether they love it or not, but are willing to give it a shot, end up loving it. And it's very easy to make these calls once you get the hang of it, but it's very impactful for those of you who have these types of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Court appearances, this is something, I just want to give you an announcement about some courts in the Central District of California. I presume, although I don't know, I presume we all have court call, which is great for the virtual lawyer. In most bankruptcy courts in California, for court appearances, certainly not for 341s, but for most court appearances, we can appear telephonically. There's nothing more efficient than appearing telephonically because I'm waiting my turn and I have to wait 45 minutes and I'm doing my email. I'm busy, I'm productive, I'm not driving to court. It's terrific. But what they're implementing now in the Central District of California for certain courts is they're setting up a webcam, a one-way webcam. So if you're on court call, you can also log in to the site and watch the court or watch the judge. And I think that's really great. So when the judge is chewing you out and they're really mad at you, excuse me, you can see their face. And that'll be more impactful for you.
Yes.
Anyway, I think that'll be a lot of fun when we can watch the court as we're making our appearance, because there are nuances. You get to see their expression. If they have an expression of disbelief, then you might alter the way you're making your argument. You may not, but that's something that's coming very soon, and I'll let you know how that works out.
I'm sure any additional information that you can gather on the mood or demeanor of the judge that day will be helpful. Scanning is next. What can you tell us about scanning? Do you carry a portable scanner with you? Do you have scanners implemented in the whole office? Are you completely printerless? How does your office take advantage of scanning?
The most important part of scanning is that we can maintain an electronic file. All documents are scanned and linked to the file, and wherever you are if you can log into the system, you have access to that scanned image. So I can be on vacation in Mexico, and my file is right there. So if my client calls me on my extension, by the way, with this ShoreTel, I can answer the call in Mexico on my computer with a headset. So I just say hello, then they don't know that I'm on vacation, and they go, hey, I've got a question about whatever. I have their whole case there. So that's very nice. Since we are in so many different offices, we don't have a need for physical file. We only need the scanned file. Next, we started recently sending our appearance attorneys to court with laptops. We didn't used to do that. We do that now. So when they're there, they have their electronic copy of the file. They all have Sprint cards so that they have access to the Internet. There's some courts that provide free Wi-Fi, so we don't need that. And then when the trustee says, I don't have your tax return, where's that? They can look and go, oops, or they can go, look, here it is, and here's the date that it was sent to you. You're an idiot, trustee. We have our documents with us. We have our notes with us. And then when they're done, when the appearance attorney is done, they prepare the court notes. It goes into the right place on the computer. It immediately gets emailed to the appropriate people, including the attorney of record. So literally 5 minutes after the hearing, I know the result. I know everything I need to know, and it might be, hey, Stuart, watch out. Your client's going to call you. He had no idea that he was going to lose his house. Of course, we never want to get calls like that, but at least I'm prepped, and I'm prepped immediately, and it's all done and documented, and no one has to come back to the office, bring the notes, photocopy them, give them to the person that needs to know about it, make sure that the hearing gets continued, and we can continue the hearing on our system right there when they put in their notes, and they put in the continued date.
And it also helps.
So having the laptop at the hearing is working out really well for us.
And I'm sure it also helps having that information before you have to get on that call with a client. Any information that you can prepare before you interact with a client or a partner or any business or personal relationship is always helpful, instead of just jumping in and having them reiterate over the phone what they may have already explained to another staff member.
Yep.
And we do have one question from our listeners. What is the court's opinion of video conferencing? Is it widely accepted? Is this just specific to California, or does it stretch beyond California and is becoming more widely accepted in other areas as well?
Well, I have a question for the questioner. Do you mean having consultations that are not face-to-face? The use of video conferencing specifically in court appearances is their request. We don't have video conferencing in California for hearings. We have phone hearings only. And what I was introducing a few minutes ago was a one-way video, web video of the court, but they don't see me.
Okay.
If that didn't answer the question, try again. Okay.
And we'll have a segment for just question and answer at the end of today's session if we don't get everything in while we're on the slide itself.
Okay. You also asked, Chelsea, about the, what do we do? Do we have scanners? Do we have printers? Yes, we still have 1 million printers because we must print the actual documents for clients to actually sign them, the petition and schedules, etc. So those still get really printed and really signed, and we keep wet ink signatures on file for many years. There's a lot of other reasons we need printers. We print a lot of different things that we need letters that go out, etc. So we still spend too much money on printing, but we're trying to spend less.
And it does get better over time. The more paperless an office becomes and the more clients work with you online and use tools like DocuSign, the better it will become. And I don't know that we'll ever be able to break away from paper, but it is getting better. And we can all buy recycled, so that helps as well.
We have one asterisk next to our paperless hearings. We still maintain full Chapter 13 files, and we bring those files to the court hearings as of now. That might change. Our Chapter 13 files tend to be large and unwieldy with lots and lots and lots of different things. And some of the trustees like it when you hand them things so they can actually touch it as opposed to moving the screen around. So we're not quite there with Chapter 13. We do maintain a normal Chapter 13 file. I hate it, but I don't know any way around it.
Okay. Good to know. So this is these are the elements that really need to be in place or will help put all of these other systems and processes that we're going to talk about in today's session in place. This is your kind of core technology, the putting it into practice slide that we have on the screen in front of us. What would you like to move on to next?
Well, just one more thing, and that is there's one more thing on the putting it into practice slide, and that's the management platform. Having an appropriate place to put all of your data is important. I have seen a lot of lawyers who are particularly disorganized, and things are wherever they are. They might record their payments on an Excel spreadsheet. They might not really know when deadlines and dates are coming up. You need a program that can take care of all of that in a comprehensive manner.
And is also web-based?
We've been using this, pardon me?
And would that need to be web-based, or can it be installed like local software that you're installing on your computer? Because
either is fine.
Okay.
Right now, our program is not a web-based program, but many of our programs are not, just like Best Case is not.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And but when we log in to our computers, to the nCino computer, we use remote desktop control. That allows us to log in. So it doesn't matter if it's web-based or not. We have everything right there.
Okay.
I don't know if everyone's familiar with ways to log in. We use RDC, or Terminal Server, and that creates a session, and screenshots go back and forth. But it's as if wherever I am, it's as if I'm in nCino. So I have a non-based, so when I use Best Case from wherever, or if I use a program that keeps track of my clients from wherever, it doesn't matter if it's web-based or not.
And it works just like LogMeIn or any of the other tools that are available in the marketplace.
Yes. We use a CRM, Client Relationship Manager, called Goldmine. We've used Goldmine for about 18 or 17 years. Goldmine is a normal client contact type software where it keeps all of the appropriate information. It keeps the scanned documents, all the fields that we needed to maintain, and allows us to take notes. It also has tools to automate the practice. So a case gets filed, it can automatically send a letter to the client. Here's your information about this case. We are switching over, and we're probably within 1 month of deployment, to another program called Red Horse. It's not a well-known program, but it's a lot more versatile than Goldmine. It makes sense for my practice because now we're doing many more types of things, and we need more tools in order to do it. We purchased the program, I think, 13 or 14 months ago, and we're not going live until next month. We've been developing it to make it super duper custom for our practice or for bankruptcy practice, and it will be a dream come true. But essentially, it's a way to keep track of everybody's information and super duper automate everything. Because we practice in so many jurisdictions, it's sometimes hard to remember what every single trustee's likes and dislikes are. So when a case is filed, and if my trustee is Jim Jones, I populate the right field with Jim Jones, and it sets up all the tasks required for Jim Jones. Like Jim might require these particular documents when Bob requires different documents. and it will force the user to provide the documents until they hit complete. That way they're done in a timely manner. If the legal assistant responsible for providing the documents doesn't do it by a certain number of days after the case is filed, it will then report that infraction to that person's supervisor. So there is a level of control to make sure everyone gets their stuff done. Excuse me. The program is also a lead management tool. It's built as a lead management tool, so as leads come in, we get a certain number of leads from the internet. It manages those leads, prioritizes leads, gets them to the right people to make the outbound calls. Goldmine doesn't do that in an effective manner the way we would like. This does, so we're happy about that.
And we have a
anyway, yes?
We have a quick question from our listeners. How does this management platform compare to a practice management application like LexisNexis Time Matters? And if that's an applicable question to all of our firms, there's a lot of management platforms that are very specific to practice area, and then you have to reevaluate as your practice grows and scales and evolves and changes. So specifically, how does it compare to tools like LexisNexis Time Matters?
I think it's similar. I believe that it will handle things. I think that there's a handful of products that do essentially the same thing, and you have to choose the one that works best for your practice. Because of the size of my practice and the efficiency that we wanted, we chose this particular product because we think it has the most bells and whistles for what we need. It particularly manages contacts and associated matters in a way unlike the other programs that I've seen that makes so much sense for me. So if I pull up a contact, client Joe, it'll show me all in such a super simple way. It's easy to find that contact. Or if I'm looking up his wife, Karen, it's very easy to find her. Then I can see all of the different matters and click right into it very, very efficiently. But it's built to add all of the associated people or contacts associated with the case. So in a bankruptcy case, for example, it's going to have the trustee as a contact. And that way, all of the trustees' rules are built into that particular matter. And that just happens to work for us. For real estate, it's very powerful because I'll have a matter, and there will be a buyer and a seller and a buyer's agent and a seller's agent, all of the appropriate people associated with that contact. But because it has a very strong lead management tool, much stronger than the other programs, that works well for me. That was one of the selling points for me. But it took huge customization to get it to be what I wanted it to be.
And would you be able to list kind of your must-have capabilities of the perfect law practice CRM and whether or not you need a separate CRM on top of your practice management application, or if it can be used for both?
It can be used for both. We need this program to manage everything about our cases, plus the bankruptcy preparation software, plus an accounting software. Those are the three main things that we need. The CRM talks to the accounting program. So everything that's in accounting is viewable by the CRM user. Only my accounting department has access to the accounting program, but any user can pull up a matter and see all of the accounting information, everything that there is to see in real time. So it's just the CRM, but for me it's the CRM plus the bankruptcy preparation software plus an accounting program.
And case management.
This is my case management. My CRM
right.
is my case manager.
Okay.
The CRM is the one that walks me through the case and makes sure I get everything done that needs to get done and sends out my automated notices. So, for example, if I sign up a client today It can then send them a series of emails. One of the emails will be, hey, by the way, you might have an action against a creditor who's violating the FDCPA. And it will explain the types of things to look for and the appropriate person to contact if those things are happening. So now they know, oh, wow, I just got a call. It was just like that. Somebody called my boss, identified themselves as a bill collector. That's an FDCPA violation. Now I know because I've been warned. So we can set up these automated types of things to generate new business, to warn them of what's going on. I don't want to have to remember to remind my client that their hearing is in 7 days, and don't forget your Social Security card, and your hearing's tomorrow, and don't forget your Social Security card. If it's automated, it just happens. They'll get a comprehensive email. The sender will be the attorney of record, or whomever you want it to be. So I don't even know this, but I'm sending out emails to my clients, reminding them about important things.
And your client
with links to directions to get to their hearing.
And your client on the other side, is seeing a lot of activity coming from the firm. They feel engaged. They feel that they are definitely seeing even more value from the attorney than would normally come with, a transactional type case. So I'm sure it's excellent for both parties.
That's a great point. We have automated interaction with our clients. So they're feeling connected to us, and I don't even know.
That's the best part, which allows you more time to actually do their casework, which I'm sure they love being prepared in a timely manner.
Yes.
Great. Anything else before we move on past putting it into practice?
I think actually those were the main things that I wanted to talk about today. We might be ready for questions.
Okay, great. Another question.
Is there any?
Another question that we had was, what kind of internet connection do you have to have in your office to support a 100-person voice over IP phone system?
The internet, interestingly, my 100-person voice over IP system does not make calls over the internet. It goes to a box, which is my phone system, which is connected to real landlines. So I don't need any internet connection to make outbound calls from my home office. We have, I think we have, I can't remember for sure, but I believe a T1 holds 23 phone lines. So if I need, and those are phone line based, not internet based T1, phone line based T1. So if I have to be able to make 75 calls at once, I'll need 3 separate T1s. I can't remember if that's the correct formula, but I believe it is.
Or close, I would imagine. And providers should also be able to provide you with some type of number, whether the phone system provider or the recommended internet company that that they work with, and usually the two come together when you're talking through initial pricing, or they at least have recommendations.
Yes. In terms of technology, in terms of T1 lines or in terms of internet connections, my Encino office, interestingly, we have a huge need for internet. We need internet for our email, which is extraordinarily voluminous. We need internet for our video conferencing technology. We have 3 distinct and separate providers. Oh, and we need internet. We're heavy internet users for our terminal server. So when everyone's logging in from wherever, it goes through a particular internet line to Encino. So we're very heavy internet users. And we sort of break it up where we have 3 different providers. One's for email, one's for video conferencing, one's for terminal server. But the reason we use 3 different companies is once in a while, despite their promises that they're up 99.9% of the time and they can get you back up in 10 minutes if something goes wrong, invariably things happen and you lose your internet connection. If I lost my internet connection, I'd be dead. I can't lose my internet connection. Therefore, when we lose them, and we do from time to time, even with quality providers, we can immediately move everything over to a different line. We have redundancy. So for our main office, not necessarily the other offices, redundancy is critical. So we have 3 different providers, all with big guarantees. One other thing, for those of you who are going to use video conferencing, not the Skype type, but the Polycom or life-size type, we usually end up getting a T1 line rather than a standard DSL or cable type line. A T1 line is going to give you 1.5 up and down. The other types of lines are going to give you much more bandwidth. A typical DSL or cable might give you 6 to 10 rather than 1.5. The reason we go for the T1, which is much more expensive and has much worse bandwidth, is because the connection is significantly better. There's something about the way the packets move through the internet world on cable that can provide you a difficult or staticky quality session. So if I have a cable or a DSL in Bakersfield and it comes into a cable or DSL in Encino, on a different system, sometimes the quality is very weak or mediocre. But with a T1, you've improved the quality because you own every piece of that 1.5 up and down. So it's more expensive, but appropriate for video conferencing.
Great. And another question from our listeners. With all of this new technology, has your client intake process or the way that you first start working with a client and establish that relationship changed? Do you need to go through any training or set expectations at the client level of these are the tools that we use and offer any support to them as they're getting used to working with you via video conferencing or using DocuSign? How has that changed your intake process?
At intake, it's changed it very little. They don't necessarily know, if they're just calling in, they don't need to know any of that. If they come into an office that's a VC office, we'll explain it to them there that you're about to meet your attorney on TV. Some people are a little freaked out about that. Some are uncomfortable. Some can't stand it. But 98% of them, after 60 seconds, don't even remember that it's a video conference because the attorney is engaging and we're well past that. In terms of something like DocuSign, that's not a big deal because they know it's coming by email. One thing I do in terms of technology, it's sort of low-end technology, but it's the fact that I tend to prefer email over phone calls. So when I talk to a client, I prep them, and I tell them that if you call me, I'll take every one of your calls, no problem. We take our calls unscreened. Every lawyer takes their calls unscreened, and everyone gives out their direct dial number. But sometimes it's hard to do that. So I tell my clients, you can contact me by phone anytime you want, or email me anytime you want, but I tend to prefer email if you prefer email as well. So you're telling them it's whatever they like, but also letting them know what your preference is. And when you do that, you tend to get a lot of great questions on email, and that's efficient because I can reply immediately no matter what I'm doing, and I can give them a comprehensive response right away, and then they're satisfied. So I do prep them that I prefer email.
Great. And that, I'm sure, helps set the expectation at the client level right from the beginning. This is how I can expect to work with the attorney, and then know that they need to return and engage in that discussion in that form.
Yes.
And I've pulled up the opportunity slide because before we end today, I do want to talk a little bit about leveraging all of these tools that you've put in place so that you can easily take advantage of opportunities that come your way. And your firm is a great example of that, entering into the real estate arena with all of the recent developments that have come up over the last couple of years, and the banking industry, and all of the things that nobody planned for, but now have created almost entirely new areas of business for attorneys and business people alike. And what are some of the ancillary services that you have been able to provide or opportunities that you've been able to take advantage of, or what can attorneys look forward to, kind of looking into your crystal ball? What do you see in the future?
What do I see in the future for technology or for this type of a practice?
For this type of a practice.
For this type of a practice, I believe that we have to break out and do other types of things like we've been doing. For the most part, for most of my career, it was bankruptcy only, or bankruptcy and settlement only. And that's all I did, and that's all I had time for, and I always wanted to do all sorts of other things, but never had time to implement it, or never had the power to implement it. But the truth is, bankruptcy over the last few years has become extraordinarily competitive because of a lot of different reasons, but now there are many, many, many more practitioners out there. When there are more practitioners, there's less leads to go around, and more practitioners drive down the cost of bankruptcy cases, thereby lowering our profit. Well, if my margins are going down and I still have an organization to maintain, I have to find other things to do. So the best thing I think I can do is find opportunity for my existing client base. And that's what I've done. That's why I've explained we're doing some of these other things. And everyone who's listening to this call should either be doing other things or they should affiliate with someone else who's doing these other things and get paid for it. For example, we do FDCPA work, well, or we might do foreclosure prevention work, or we might do short sale work. If you're not adequately set up to do that, get that over to me. We pay a referral fee, and we get the work done. Or someone like me who can do that sort of work. It's very efficient. We're all over it. We give excellent customer service. So by either doing it yourself or getting someone else to do it makes a lot of sense. Remember, you paid a lot of money for that client. You did a bankruptcy case for them. 4 months later, it's over. Now it's done. If you don't try to get more money from them, shame on you. If you've done a good job for them with their bankruptcy case and they like you and they trust you, you should be providing more services to them or making more services available to them where you can still get paid for that client and provide good quality services to that client. So if that means doing anything in the debt world, you should do it or refer it out. Can you negotiate their taxes, do offers in compromise, or set up payment plans? Can you settle their debt? Are you settling their seconds? We are. We do a Chapter 7 for them. They want to keep their house. They haven't paid on their second for 8 months. We're getting deals, usually 5 to 10 cents on the dollar for lump sum settlements. That's huge. You have to prep them immediately that they have to start saving for that because you're going to need $10,000, but prep them, do their case. Now you can do that, and you're going to charge them $2,500. They're delighted to pay $2,500 if you're going to get rid of a $100,000 lien on their property, or refer to someone else who will charge $2,500 and give you a good chunk of that. So there are a lot of opportunities in debt to assist them besides the bankruptcy. So do that. Or do loan mods, short sales, whatever it makes sense. You've already done a good service for them. They love you. They trust you. But you can do more for them if you explore the opportunity. And a lot of times your clients don't know that there are other things that you can do for them, and they don't know that these other things even exist. I bet some of you have clients who don't know that they can settle their seconds for pennies on the dollar after Chapter 7 discharge. But if you tell them that, you're a hero. You're providing a great service for them.
And is the $2,500 fee pretty common for these types of services, or can you share with us what types of fees you charge for these types of services?
We charge $2,500 to $5,000, depending on the case, to settle junior liens post-discharge.
And I think that's a great example of really, taking a step back and getting out of the weeds that you may get wrapped up in on a day-to-day basis, and really, take a step back, look at your firm. You have put all of this technology into place now. How can I leverage the lifetime value of my clients? How can I really look at the whole picture, maybe get out of the office for a few days and just brainstorm or meet with other attorneys or business people in other areas and see, how they are reacting to this very different and new marketplace that we find ourselves in, and see what other services you can offer. I have a couple clients that come to mind myself that had traditional estate planning practices that are now, with the use of virtual law office technology, able to serve military clients traveling abroad, or my small business law firms are now doing a lot of IP patent trademark work over their virtual law office with clients halfway around the world, with offices in China or India or other locations. And it's really been able to expand their practice, and they've also received a considerable amount of publicity because they're doing these types of new practice areas or new services. And just wanted to also ask, just covering questions from a listener really quick, prices for short sale and FDCPA?
The prices for short sale, it's a complicated model, but essentially we charge 1% of the sale price.
So the clients don't actually have to pay up front?
Actually, the seller never pays us. It either comes from the bank or it comes from the listing agent, where they will take it out of their commission, essentially, to pay the legal fees. A lot of short sales don't work, so you might put 40 hours into a file, you lose the buyer, and then you don't get anything. And our model is such that we only get paid if the deal closes. So you're taking a certain risk, but the money tends to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So you asked about pricing for short sales and pricing for what's the other one?
FDCPA.
The way it works with the FDCPA is we get paid by the creditor, and typically we're getting $1,500 to $2,500 on a real basic case that never makes it to litigation. If it's litigation, then it's however many hours you've had, et cetera. But a vast majority of them settle without the need for litigation. The client typically gets $500 to $1,000. We typically get $1,500 to $2,500.
And it works out well for everyone?
It works out well for everyone.
Great.
Sometimes we'll prepare the lawsuit and send it as an exhibit or an attachment to an email. But we don't have to, we do file them, but more often than not, they're settled without actually being filed.
Great. So let's just go ahead and recap today's session. I'm going to pull up the recap slide. So in a nutshell, there's all this cutting-edge new technology, and if implemented properly, you can not only automate your client communication, allowing you new opportunities to really capture that lifetime value of a client, even if it begins with bankruptcy. And you can automate communications that are reaching out to clients post-bankruptcy for those services through the use of good management tools, the case management systems. Implementing secure online collaboration can allow you to save time, see more clients, have more court appearances. Online invoicing and payment is another great efficiency gain. And taking the leap, the evolution will always continue. Firms are evolving at an exponential rate. I think we've seen a huge change in the legal industry in just the last couple of years, and it's going to continue to grow at a very rapid pace in the years that come. So when you look into your crystal ball, we'll come back to this question one more time, really, how do you see today's small firm redefining itself and entering into this new chapter of working with consumers online?
I think for those people who embrace technology, they will be the ones who will dominate the marketplace. There are a lot of law firms who refuse to embrace new technology, and as a result, will be saddled with inefficiencies and other difficulties. Some of the difficulties will be from the clients who actually want this technology now. The survivors are going to be the ones who are efficient with their practice, and they must use technology to be and maintain efficiency.
Great. And I do absolutely agree with that, and thank you so much, Stuart, for all of your time that you have spent with us today. It has been an absolute pleasure, and everyone listening to today's session and that registered will receive a recap email from Total Attorneys with a copy of all of the presentation slides. There were some that we weren't able to cover today, but they'll be included in the email that we send out to you. Stuart, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll repeat today's session again tomorrow at 12 o'clock Central. We do encourage everyone to check out Price Law Group. You can follow them on Twitter at Price Law Group is their name, and you can email Stuart at stuart@pricelawgroup.com if you have additional questions. We'd also be very, very grateful if you would participate in a brief survey attached to the recap email that you'll be receiving following today's session. Thank you so much, Stuart. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for today's Total Attorneys Power Chat, and we look forward to speaking with you all again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everybody.